Am I the asshole for not agreeing with my dad over the value of a phone? For backstory, this situation started when my mother, after 2 weeks, decided that she dislikes the Samsung phone S23 Fe she got in her new plan. The plan was for 2 years, after which they could keep it. Because of this, they decided to get a new plan, for an iPhone 14. This plan is also for 2 years, however the phone is on a lease. After 2 years, they can either give it back or pay $300 to keep it. As they were locked into the Samsung plan, they decided to give me the SIM card for the Apple plan, as I didn't have data before, and they would give the Samsung to my brother, meaning my mum would get the iPhone. Now for the actual incident, my mum asks me how much we can trade the Samsung in for at the end of the plan, to go towards the iPhone at the end of the 2-year terms. I mention that this number is going to be very low, as Samsung phones typically have low demand. To prove this, I show her FB Marketplace listings of people who got the exact same phone in the plan as us, including the off-brand earbuds, for around $450-ish CAD. Multiple listings. My dad, from his room, says, "No, I found listings for $700. I say, "Okay, can I see it?" It is one listing for that price range. I then show him the near 10 listings in the $450 to $500 range, after which he says, "Get out of my room, stop talking." I'm fairly annoyed up to this point, but I think, whatever. I then go back to my mum's room to explain that Samsung just don't have the same demand as Apple phones do. Suddenly, from his room again, he says, "But I see stores selling the Samsung for $1,000. I explain to him that stores can sell it for whatever they want, but no one's going to buy it. He then again tells me, "I've heard enough, stop talking." Now up to this point, I'm fairly upset, but again, I think, whatever. I resume the conversation about the depreciation of Apple compared to Samsung to my mum, by comparing the retail and marketplace listings of the two types of phones by year. My dad yells, "But we're trading it in." I show him the Rogers trade-in value, and how Samsungs rapidly depreciate compared to their Apple counterparts, even with the trade-in feature. Again, he tells me to shut up again, but this time louder. Up to this point, I've had enough. I tell him that if he isn't willing to admit he's wrong, there's no point in arguing. He then proceeds to tell me to leave him alone, and that he's reaching his limit. I'm very mad at this point, but I go to cool down and explain the situation to my mum. While explaining it, my dad continues to shout from the halls, "You keep on arguing with me." Eventually, I give up, and go back to my room. My dad always preaches being the bigger, honest man in arguments, and always tells me to admit when I'm wrong. However, in this situation, where I both explain and back up my claims, whereas all he says is, "You're wrong," this seems incredibly unreasonable to me. Am I the asshole?